A powerful earthquake struck parts of Mindanao on June 8, leaving many families in urgent need of help. In response, Kiwani's Southern Philippine District Governor-designate Dr. Carlos T. Capitan II launched Oplan Alalay, an emergency humanitarian response to bring relief, medical assistance, and feeding programs to affected communities in Glan Sarangani and in General Santos City. I'm Rochelle Rubio, and this is The Advocates, Empowering Voices.
Detalye ng ating mga balita. Niyanig ng magnitude 7.8 na lindol ang lalawigan ng Sarangani sa Mindanao. Naitala ang pinakamalakas na instrumental intensity sa General Santos City at sa Palimbang.
June 8, 2026, a magnitude 7.8 earthquake rocked Mindanao, leaving a trail of devastation across southern Philippines. With its epicenter off Sarangani, the quake triggered landslides, damaged communities, and placed coastal areas on alert. In response to the calamity, volunteer organizations and private individuals mobilized to organize donation drives and deliver aid to affected families. Dr. Carlos Capitan II, District Governor-elect of the Kiwanis Southern Philippine District, launched Oplan Alalay, a Kiwanis emergency humanitarian response for communities affected by the June 8 tremor in Mindanao. The initiative aims to assist over 500 to 1,000 families in Glan Sarangani, General Santos City, and Jose Abad Santos through relief distribution, medical services, and feeding programs. In the midst of their club's preparations, Doc Carlos shares his role in Kiwanis and the outreach projects he's been part of prior to Oplan Alalay.
I'm currently the District Governor-designate of Kiwanis Southern Philippine District, which is one of the districts of Kiwanis International based in Indianapolis, USA. I became a member of Kiwanis since 2015. Throughout my Kiwanis journey I have the privilege of serving various leadership and service roles at the club, division, and district levels. Of course, my desire and involvement with Kiwanis began because of my desire to serve the communities beyond my professional expertise and practice as a dentist and a community development worker, at the same time as a community volunteer. I witnessed firsthand the challenges faced by the children, of course, and families in underserved areas. I am also an advocate of an Adapt a School program under Republic Act 8525, wherein we're able to implement sub-programs, school-based programs like oral health programs, or they call it school-based oral health programs.
Oplan Alalay. Doc Carlos shares that Oplan Alalay will mobilize relief efforts for earthquake victims, providing hygiene kits, food packs, drinking water, and other essential items. The initiative was launched by the Kiwanis Club Mindanao Renewable with participation from other clubs across the Kiwanis Southern Philippine District, covering Visayas and Mindanao, and support from clubs in Luzon. Responding to communities in crisis is nothing new for Doc Carlos. Over the years, he has answered calls for help during major disasters, from Typhoon Yolanda in Tacloban, Leyte, to Typhoon Pablo in Baganga, Davao Oriental.
Oplan Alalay is an emergency humanitarian response initiative launched by Kiwanis through our club, the Kiwanis Club of Mindanao Renewable. We just initiated it to start the ball rolling. Of course, this will be in partnership with other clubs. Pending the participation of our district, me as the district governor-elect, I really make it a point that we could respond immediately as soon as possible after the June 8 earthquake that struck Mindanao. Through this initiative, we are mobilizing relief goods, hygiene kits, food packs, drinking water, cooking utensils, of course, blankets, school supplies, and other essential items for affected families. Disaster is not new to me. When I was the chairman of the Community Extension Service of the Davao Medical School Foundation, during my stint also as a professor, I was also the mission coordinator of the disaster response team of the said school. We've been able to respond to Yolanda in Leyte 5 times from psychological intervention to, of course, medical relief missions, other humanitarian missions, and of course, up to the recovery, we're able to rebuild some health centers in Albuera and other parts in Leyte province, and also some of the provinces in Mindanao during the Pablo in Maganga, and of course in other areas with Operation Smile, of course with other partners, and we know that is really relevant for us to act immediately. Especially, we saw a lot of footages through the media and bloggers. Glan, hopefully, Sarangani is the really hard hit area, aside from Jensan and other adjacent communities. And fortunately, Glan is now passable. There are lots of organizations also are doing this, not just Kiwanis. I am also with the Philippine Coast Guard auxiliary as commander and as quick response team head. So we're like our group is also going to deploy some of the resources on Saturday to Glan. And I hope we could muster a lot of resources for this so that we could offer a lot of services and give some provisions to these affected areas, especially the victims and those who were injured during this time.
Service has long been part of Don Carlos's life. Even before joining Kiwanis, he has already been actively involved in various civic and volunteer organizations. Today, he continues that mission through Kiwanis, a global organization dedicated to improving the world one child and one community at a time.
With Kiwanis, it provides me with a platform to transform compassion into meaningful action. Now, I choose this organization. I've been with JCs, the Rotary, and a lot of civic organizations. And I really to serve the communities. And I decided to join this organization, which will serve as a platform for my advocacies, like serving the children. So ito pong nakikita ko. And what inspired me most was the organizational commitment to improving the lives of children and creating lasting positive change in the communities. Likewise, I've been also with Operation Smile International, giving services with cleft lip and palate deformities. Ito pong as volunteer credential dentist and program or mission coordinator. Actually, we've been traveling throughout the country, and aside from our other Asian or global missions that I joined with the operations. It's all because it's all for the children. This program is really that benefited the children, especially with this kind of deformities through our surgical mission.
Kiwanis Southern Philippine District aims to prioritize communities in Glan Sarangani, Jose Abad Santos, and General Santos City. They aim to provide essential items and medical care to 500 to 1,000 affected families.
For Kiwanis, we're considering of going to Jensan, Sarangani areas like Glan. If materials, God willing, we could muster a lot of resources. I would love to stay there for days, give some, especially feeding programs temporarily for addressing the shortages of food there and distributing some, of course, these relief goods. Right now, we're counting on the support of our the community, especially here in Davao. We have also the Visayas, Kiwanis clubs and the different divisions, because our district is under our jurisdiction is Visayas in Mindanao, and we know that we have also some Kiwanians in Luzon who are also pooling some resources to help Mindanao, is the Rangani and the South Cotabato areas, including Jensan. So that's primarily our target areas. I hope we could serve more than 500, 1,000 families.
Oplan Alalay is also calling for support from Kiwanis clubs across the country, welcoming donations not only in the form of relief goods, but also resources for medical assistance.
We would gladly accept it, especially this time. We need resources. You know that this is not just for today, tomorrow. What it will take a long time for them to recover. We'll really do our part, especially in crisis like this. And, there are, I think right now, 37 fatalities already. And based on experience, what we had in Ormoc, in etc., in Yolanda, Hinay, we've done a lot of vaccinations, especially anti-tetanus vaccination, because there will be a lot of people who will die due to diseases and because of these incidents. And of course, they're rebuilding their houses. We need to respond. And with this, we will be coordinating with our authorities in the medical profession so that you could also extend the services that we need. Not just the distribution of relief goods, but also the needed medical help they need at this point in time.
But mounting a large-scale humanitarian response comes with challenges. Among the hurdles are coordinating logistics, assessing the immediate needs of affected communities, number of volunteers, and reaching severely impacted areas.
Yeah, we've been receiving a lot of first-hand information from our friends in these areas, affected areas. And as mentioned, one of the setback of the impossible reach going to Glan, which was really the heavily affected area. We received some information that, of course, I saw it also on Facebook online, that is already passable. So that's a good thing. We need a lot of water and we need the basic commodities that we need. Setback for volunteers outside of the affected areas. Of course, we have to be prepared. We could not have the same good things that we're enjoying here right now if we're going to these areas, and we have to really empathize with the situation that they have there, and we have to live with them. We're not expecting volunteers there to complain because they don't have this and that. Then volunteers should be prepared to really handle this kind of situation. We're not expecting, like we do have, I don't know if the electricity right now is being addressed, refrigerator, of course, some of the medicines that we need, like vaccines. Aside from that, of course, the goods that we need. We have to really come up with some information. If there are internet, if there are, of course, we have some mobile phone here, we can bring it there. And communication. We're doing a fact-finding mission also, we call this one, a fact-finding mission. We're also to get answered some of this information. So before going there.
Doc Carlos and his club are currently coordinating with Kiwanis clubs in General Santos City and Sarangani, while also establishing communication with communities in Jose Abad Santos, one of the areas heavily affected by the earthquake.
We have Kiwanis in Sarangani, in Jensan. In Jose Abad Santos, of course, we have some friends, and I have also some relatives there. There are a lot of capitans there, no? Isang barangay po. So, also, modestly aside, but the whole area is affected. I read that some of the items were brought via helicopter, airdrop maybe, or what. There are other ways of doing it. But right now, Glan, I don't know if it is. Glan is really needs a lot of services, a lot of basic commodities. Right now, I know that some of the areas here are impassable as of now. So you could readily see that online. And we hope we could coordinate with Mayor Joyce there. He's also a friend, a fellow JC. As soon as we have all the resources that we need, then we'll be willing to go in these areas if given the opportunity by the support of our community like you.
A large-scale relief effort cannot be done alone. Doc Carlos is grateful for the support of various Kiwanis clubs and divisions working together to ensure that more help reaches communities and families in need.
Well, that's great. With the support coming from the community, and also with some of our club leaders and division leaders, not just from the district of Kiwanis Southern Philippine District.
Sustainable recovery recommendations. For Dr. Carlos Capitan II, what long-term and sustainable measures should the government, private sector, and socio-civic organizations prioritize to help affected families recover beyond immediate relief?
We have a lot of trenches here, like the Cobato Trench, etc. And almost every year, earthquakes happen. We observed before we go to like earthquake affected area or typhoon affected area, the one who's going to respond first are the military and the DPWH. And they're going to clear the areas, of course, and before we could go in, like the military and the DPWH will come up with a command incidents center, right? And for us to coordinate where we could go or where the basic services would be needed the most. No? Basically, I think people should have a like one is the infrastructure design, and we noticed that because of the earthquake, the other half of the like bridge detached on the main beam of the bridge. I think one thing that they have also to look into is the design and of the bridges. Well, it's moving and it can easily be detached, from the main beam. And I think one is infrastructure, and of course the design of the houses. And most of the regions here are, of course, I don't know the current situation as far as the economic status concerned of these municipalities, from second or a third class municipality maybe, or even there are fourth class municipalities there, and people doesn't have really like concrete houses there. Then we could easily provide them with some basic materials, light materials, I should say, for them. They could easily build it right away, and long term. And for those areas that are within the earthquake prone areas, I think they have really to really focus on this. We've been to Tulunan, the Pansalan before, and the government advised these people na may mga landslide that to stop building in these areas. But wala tayong magawa. People have no lands. People have no lots to build their houses. So they're really forced to really, again, rebuild their houses there in Magsaysay, etc. But I think one is really light materials, and that is one that we could provide for them to really rebuild it right away, their respective homes. It's purely agricultural area, like in Glan. More livelihoods, I think, for them to sustain it, like the basic rations that they need there, rice, etc. And it should be for me as a development worker, I should say that it should be, the government must come up with an integrated sustainable development plan. When we say integrated, so it must be, it's not redundant from the other areas there. There's a market, there's some livelihood programs that could be sustained. Not like, Filipinos, what we're doing here, kung may during summer, kung may magbenta ng saging, magbenta na rin ang katabi ng saging, etc. hanggang mamamatay ang negosyo. Then kung may halo-halo, maghalo-halo rin ang kapitbahay hanggang mamatay rin ang negosyo. It should be planned thoroughly as far as integrated, sustainable. Each municipalities must, help together to come up with this integrated program to sustain the livelihood, the market of the province as far as the goods are concerned. It's more on building more. I've heard that, of course, coconuts are going to be shipped in other countries. I've been to Europe, I've been to Australia, etc. Doon mo makita ang coconuts. A lot of coconut juice that were sold in the different groceries there have different mixtures or have different varieties. Ang coconut, then ipadala natin, ibenta sa labas. Why not the government going to help these farmers and have their own, build their own plants, manufacturing plants to start anew. And likewise, I've been to Balut Island. I checked in once. I was a voluntary consultant of PNOC, Renewables Corporation, and they need kuryente doon, power. And the plan then of a proposal of Mayor Arce was to there were Malaysian, according to him, some Malaysian investors who would like to build some plants there, manufacturing plants to process these coconuts into commercial grade products. Itong kulang natin, pinapaship natin yung mga raw materials, pagdating dito, canned goods na, etc. And I hope we have to learn from them. In fact, Europe, etc., Germany, may winter, Kaya sila kumakayod, nagtatrabaho, kaya kung hindi sila magtrabaho during summer or, without winter, pas mo sila, Wala sila makain. Tayo, we're very lucky. We have a tropical climate and 12 months a year. Marami tayong problema. I think there's something wrong here. It must be hindi kanya-kanya integrated dapat. Integrated approach wherein hindi pare-pareha ang mga produkto and maubusan ng market. Wala. It cannot be sustained. So everything from roads to products to livelihood.
Volunteerism requires significant commitment. How does Doc Carlos balance his time, resources, and skills to ensure that his initiatives succeed? Has his involvement with Kiwanis been fulfilling in ways that make it worthwhile?
Yeah, since when my father died at the age of 16, I became I started my leadership, was honed there. I became a Kabataan Barangay Chairman. It was then that I started volunteering. For me, it's really a mission, and that's why people have been asking me, undang na, mag-retire na, no? But I don't know, it's destiny. Because I do not want to be, after becoming the president of Rotary Club of Matina, Davao, I said to myself, I will stop volunteering and I like to concentrate more on my retirement. But what happened? I went to a restaurant and my fellow JC told me, it's an election of Rotary, of Kiwanis now, you're a member. So, no, I told him. But eventually I responded and voted there. Then I became a director, vice president, and president of the. I don't know what happened, but I didn't run even. I do not want to run as governor of Kiwanis, but destiny really is want me to become one. And kahit katapusang piso, mahatag pa nato sa tinuod lang. Kahit katapusan po, kahit huling piso po natin ng pera, maibigay pa natin eh. That's people do not know. They thought that I'm mayaman. I have a resort. I have etc. Being a millionaire for me, we just come and go. Bukas billionaire. So bukas na naman hindi. No. I'm a kind of guy that I do it one day at a time. I've been a volunteer and I'm happy to be a volunteer. Of course, with the support of my family, I have a so-called political wife and my children are supporting me. And of course, the clinic. My clinic is funding mostly some of my activities. Mostly of my activities. And with the support of my patients, of course, I really made a point that I have some budget for my community involvement. And, I don't know where I got it from. I have a little business, but it failed. But I'm relying mostly right now with my clinics as a dentist and oral implantologist. And, with the support of the community, Kiwanis staff, I know we can make a difference.
What keeps Doc Carlos motivated in his advocacy of helping children and communities?
I was raised in a so-called squatter area before. Now they call it informal settlers. Right? I was raised by my father who was an orphan. I went to college. I was a scholar, and up to I finished my medical school as a scholar also. So I'm just trying to reciprocate what the community has given me. I just want to serve. No, I'm fortunate enough that I became a governor. It's beyond my expectation actually. Even becoming a dentist is beyond my wildest dream. I'm good. No, I'm nothing to ask. It's up to God is going to provide me. What comes here, welcome. No, I know God is because of God. Primarily, I'm not a religious guy. Of course, before I was a sacristan, altar boy, president of the altar boy in Ateneo in Davao University, and attended a vocational course before. Want to be a padre, but it didn't happen. And I do not go to church regularly because of my missions. Usually, when I was a civic chairman, our dental group here, Saturday, Sunday, puro bunot ng ngipin, puro libre. So, hindi na po ako makapagsimba. And I asked the pare, Father, hindi na po ako makapagsimba dahil itong nangyari, Saturday, Sunday, ano. Ang sabi niya, Doc, yan ang mission mo. It's like, serving the people through your advocacies. It's like serving God.
Doc Carlos also speaks of his faith in God's provision, something he says he has witnessed firsthand through life's challenges and experiences.
I just want to, nandyan talaga ang Diyos. Kasi I'm not trying to test God, no? But lalo na meron akong mga deadlines, babayarin, commitments in my community engagement. He provides. God provides it. No? Kahit one day na lang, kahit ilang oras na lang. And it happened to me not just once, so many times. I'm not going to be here without God. Serving the people is serving God. It's fulfilling, and I know I'm looking also on life after death. Of course, I'm a believer in that. But I will, in spite of all the miscalculations and the negative, things that we've done in life with our fellow man, kung meron man, at least, kung tiba-tibangin ng Diyos versus sa ginawa po natin, I hope God is going to consider me and accept me in heaven.
As a legislative advocate, Doc Carlos authored key policy initiatives within the Philippine Dental Association, including proposals that contribute to the enhancement of the Philippine dental law and the advancement of the country's oral health program. He was the main proponent of the 4.6 billion peso oral health program approved in 2022, resulting in 2,600 dental chairs distributed to selected central schools nationwide.
I'm an advocate of oral health program aside from that other programs that will be implemented in school. Currently po, started with a dream way back 2022. We lobbied to address the oral health crisis in the Philippines. And we were instrumental in the approval of the 4.6 billion oral health program that was implemented during the Duterte administration. But we went to DepEd, we were requested to go there, and they thank us because of that. And there were 2,600 dental chairs that were distributed in some selected central schools in the country today. And of course, lack of dentists, no hiring of dentists, etc. So forfeits the programs that we've started. And that's why we were able to know with my fellow dentist, Dr. Katapang, Dr. Rosel Rojas, Dr. Pinky Diamante Angkog, in DepEd Manila, we were apprised, informed about the Adapt a School program. And that is, this is during my governorship, and it happened right now.
More about the Adopt a School program. A memorandum of agreement has been signed with the Department of Education to implement Republic Act 8525 or Adopt a School program during Dr. Capitan's governorship in Kiwanis Southern Philippine District. It aims to benefit learners in public schools, particularly IP or Indigenous People schools, and vulnerable children in Davao City and throughout Visayas and Mindanao.
Made it a point that we were going to start this during my administration as district governor. In fact, we had already a MOA signing a few days ago with the Department of Education to allow us, to permit us to seek some donors, partners, as far as the Republic Act 8525 is concerned, which is the Adapt a School program, wherein the companies, the donors, partner organizations, if there are donors, can receive tax incentives because of this program. If they donate 1 million, they're going to receive 1.5 million less tax in terms of coupon. They can use this during the filing of their income tax and payment, of course. So this is going to be sustainable. You nag-donate ka pa, meron ka pang nakatulong ka pa, meron ka pang tax incentives. There's going to start. Actually, starting already. We're coming up with some letters. I already gave some letters to some of the companies. We're planning to build a medical and dental clinic at one of the IPE schools in Davao City, the Marilo. We have already the design and we have already the location. And I hope that we could replicate this in other key cities, municipalities in Visayas, in Mindanao. So Adapt a School program, not only for dental programs, we have also the nutrition program, the Manna Rice feeding program. I'm asking our past district governor Ike to give us, even if they could consider it, container ban full of Manna Rice, so that we could come up with a feeding program in some underserved schools in Davao City, especially those IPs and vulnerable children. Inside the school, nutrition program, we have also the infrastructure program, we have the ICT program. So all of these sports, in all of these programs have already the proposals. Okay, depending on the sponsors, they would like to, what program they would like to adopt. Then it's as if that we have already the menu right now. So it's very, for me, I'm very happy that it's started to be realized na through this Adapt program, the civil society, the organizations, the private institutions, private organizations could help the schools, the school children, through this program that I've mentioned. We're looking at multinational companies, big companies to support us. Of course, whether it's small or big, we need all the support that we could get, because of course there are some programs that doesn't really need a big amount, like per school. It will be per school, no, depending on the school what they would like to adopt. So like in Marilog, almost IP combination, may mga IP si Chetada, there are 14 schools there. It's a part of the countryside of Davao City, and we hope we could, feed them all. That's a very ambitious, program initiative, but God willing, I hope this will be realized. One school, one child at a time. Much easier, based on experience, to implement programs in the school than it will be a community-based program. Kung bata, kasi nandiyan na sila, tawagin mo, nandiyan na lahat. O grade 1 mo na, grade 2, nandiyan na. Parents, pag tawagin ng mga teachers, o tawagin ng teachers, nandiyan kaagad. So, ganun kabilis. Than a community-based program, ang bata, minsan wala, minsan saan, hindi mo mahanap-hanap. You are not in control of that program anymore. I implemented a 5-year program at Alihal Elementary School in Carmen, Davao del Norte. I've done it with results, at Alihal Elementary School. And this is all the programs that we're going to implement under my administration. It's going to be the programs that we've done it already before. And we're just going to enhance it, mobilize a lot of resources to make it more attractive, and a lot of children are going to be served. Not just the children, their parents, the community itself.
Doc Carlos is inviting the public to support Oplan Alalay, whether through Kiwanis or as private individuals. The Kiwanis Club of Mindanao Renewable welcomes both financial assistance and in-kind donations, including relief goods purchased directly by donors. He says all contributions will be documented and distributed transparently to intended beneficiaries in line with standard humanitarian and development practices.
I'm Dr. Carlos T. Capitan II. I'm a dentist, oral implantologist at the same time. I'm a development worker and past chairperson of some disaster response team in Yolanda. Based on experience, this is not just a one-day activity. It's going to be a long-term effort. Together, we could really help rebuild and save lives. And we just initially initiated this program with Kiwanis Club of Mindanao Renewables, of course, with our partners. And just start the ball rolling. And we welcome support from other organizations. We can collaborate, we can work together. No, there's no monopoly in charity, as we call it. So everybody is welcome to help, we can work together to really uplift the lives of these affected families. We call for donation. Rest assured that everything will be transparent. That's my job as a development worker. Everything will be given to our target beneficiaries po. If you are going to help us on this Oplan Alalay, you're not helping us actually. You are helping the people, the victims, the families affected by this tragedy. So we can start from psychological intervention, some distribution of relief goods, or we could also do some mitigation projects. We could also help in rebuilding some of their houses or health centers. Just choose. We are happy. We are willing to help you, especially those organizations who would like some assistance from locally and through our local clubs. No.
As recovery efforts continue, Oplan Alalay aims to extend to over 1,000 families affected by the recent earthquake in Mindanao. Through volunteer organizations like Kiwanis, communities in crisis receive much-needed support and hope. Kudos to all the individuals, volunteers, and organizations working hand-in-hand to help those in need during these trying times. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of The Advocates, Empowering Voices. I'm Rochelle Rubio. Until the next inspiring story, right here on Capital 104.3.
This is where the voices of the voiceless are heard. The Advocates, Empowering Voices. Hosted by Rochelle Rubio on Capital 104.3.